So let's bring him in now. Representative Danny McCormick, welcome to Wake Up America. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you, Austin. How you doing today?
All right. Hope you enjoyed the energetic intro. We've all had our orange juice and coffee today, so let's get right into it. So why are you calling out the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and what for?
Well, Speaker Mike Johnson is actually my congressman, and we live pretty close in the same area when he's in from Washington. And, Speaker Mike Johnson, since he's been Speaker, his voting record has been going downhill. It's been very disappointing. I guess his vote on the Pfizer warrants was my biggest concern. So I've had red flags starting to develop. And of course, Congressman Thomas Massie, I appreciate the stance he takes in Washington. And when Speaker Mike Johnson come out in his interview and belittled and somewhat looked like he was trying to make a target out of Congressman Massie, I decided, it was that at that point in time that I needed to speak up and let Speaker Mike Johnson know my disappointment in his voting record and in his attack on Thomas Massie. As you very well know, Thomas Massie's been fighting the fight that a lot of us really appreciate in Washington. And I wanted to, I think this Epstein files is a good way to call out Speaker Johnson on his voting record, and also support Thomas Massie, and because he's under quite an attack right now.
He certainly is, Danny, and you'll find no greater friend of liberty than Thomas Massie, which means that he's a friend of ours as well. It doesn't mean that we worship the ground he walks on or that everything that he says is the gospel truth, but that good men who take stands should not have to stand alone. And so I applaud you for your bravery in coming on this show and speaking out, especially knowing that Speaker Johnson is in your district and represents you. You should be able to, of course, and you do have a larger platform to speak. But what we find, Representative, is that most people who stand to suffer for having negative opinions of those who have power in this country, they rarely tend to have the backbone or the spine that people like yourself have to stand up for what they believe in. Are you rich or stupid?
I'm not rich. And I'm not rich, but my wife may say I'm stupid, so maybe that's borderline, right?
I'm just kidding, but of course. But I mean, most people, they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah, and I feel like it's my duty. When I ran for office, I've never been politically active my whole life to speak of, besides just a regular voting citizen. And I have two children, I have 6 grandchildren. I told everybody if they would just let me worship my God and run my business and love my family, I would have stayed out of politics, and they kept messing with me. So now they have to deal with me. And so I got in this to make a difference. I don't have, I'm not ego driven. I'm results driven. I'm not out to, I'm not out to just bash Speaker Johnson for the ability to bash him. I want results out of him. And that's what I'm motivated for. I think it's my duty. I have one of the largest grassroots operations in Louisiana. I have McCormick, the number 4 LA, if your viewers, listeners want to go to it. We have about 60,000 members. We send out a weekly email. So I have the ability to reach across Louisiana and get my voice heard. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I think it's time they're in our area. Speaker Mike Johnson is very popular. And but on the other hand, I know if his constituents knew about his vote on the Pfizer warrants, that they would not approve of that. And so that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about him as a person, but his voting record and his results or lack of results in Washington is what's encouraging me to do this.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from, Representative. I guess the challenge it comes in when people start talking about heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I wonder if there isn't some institutional problem, because it just seems as if we do send so many what were good men into power in Washington, D.C. And of course, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But I can't help but wonder if it isn't a broken system that is producing broken men. Do we have something of a crisis on our hands of governance in this country that makes it so that if here's the thing, if only one man is able to withstand the allure of the ring of power in Washington, D.C., it suggests that it's more than just a problem of the corruption of men, but that the underlying system itself appears to be broken. Do you agree, disagree, something in between?
Well, I'm a strong Christian believer, a follower of Christ, and I believe that we're all failed human beings. And and as I speak of that, that's one of the lines that Speaker Johnson used against Congressman Massey that bothered me the worst. He used scripture. I made him sound like Speaker Mike Johnson and God was against Thomas Massie, against releasing these these Epstein files. So, I think by nature that we are corrupt. I mean, every day I fight the good and evil in my own heart is a daily battle with me. I have no business trying to run somebody else's life. I have a hard enough time running my own life. And I think what we've got a voting people that look at government as providers for them. They're starting to even look at them like little mini gods. If you want something, you have to go to government and beg them for it. And in a republic, the rights and responsibilities belong to the individual. So if we have problems in government, ultimately it's up to us as the people of this country and state. It's our problem. It's one we have to fix.
I agree, Representative. I think our audience absolutely would as well. If they do, they should click the like button over on the stream. Representative, the list of the people who have been subpoenaed over this is explosive. Bill and Hillary Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, James Comey, Robert Mueller. What do you think that they might know, and what should Congress be doing?
I don't have any idea what they might know, but what they might know is what we need to know. I mean, sunshine sterilizes, and we need to get it out there in the public, and we need it to, pedophilia has got to be it's one of the worst imaginable crimes I can imagine. And if we as men aren't willing to protect the children, that's a sad state we're in this country right now. So, we just want the truth. We don't want, I'm not choosing a political side here, just the truth. That's all we want is the truth.
Here's the thing about this story that's struck me as so odd in recent days is that the president has come out and said it's a fake story, it's made up, it's a Democrat hoax, they're trying to smear me, but then they're also subpoenaing Bill and Hillary Clinton, Loretta Lynch, and Eric Holder. And also the Department of Justice, Attorney General Pam Bondi, has said that there was a list, but now there is no list. And so why the subpoenas if it's a fake thing that's made up? I don't understand, Representative.
Yeah, and I don't understand neither. And that's the whole point. We want to get it out there. We want it into the public eye so we can understand it. But yes, that's exactly right. I mean, the America First MAGA base, we want that. We want that truth. That's something we were asked for in the election, that we were promised that. President Trump has done a lot of good things. I think he's made some good moves. Some I agree with, some I don't. But this is important. We're protecting the children and justice and fairness. I mean, that the rule of law. This is what we're looking for.
I'm speaking to Representative Danny McCormick of Louisiana. He's in Speaker of the House Mike Johnson's district. He's speaking out against the Speaker. Everybody's practicing their free speech today. He's speaking out against the Speaker for his failure to act in releasing the Epstein files. Representative McCormick is joining us this morning live. Show your gratitude by clicking the like button or dropping a Rumble rant there to show your love for the Wake Up America show, trying to shine the light on these issues. Now, my question for you is a personal one. Have you received any threats, any pressure or blowback since taking this stand? Are you concerned for your safety?
And I'm a proud Second Amendment toting American, so I'm not scared for my safety whatsoever. I should be, maybe I am on that little bit of that stupid side you talked about earlier, right? I don't know, but no, I'm not scared at all. What's that saying? Fear is contagious, but so is courage. I choose to be courageous. And I don't sit here as any human being above any other human being. I just want equal playing field for everybody. That's all I want. My father taught me when I was in junior high, if we give our money to the bully, our lunch money to the bully, we'll be giving it to him every day. And so, no, I'm not fearful at all. And I've learned, through life, here in the country, in the oil field where I grew up in North Caddo Parish here in Louisiana, we we fist fought for entertainment back when I was a young man. I mean, that's what we did for a hobby. So, and the people that run their mouth the most are the ones you don't have to worry about. You know, the one that's sitting over and not saying much, that's the person you need to be concerned about. So these blowhard politicians and the people that support them, they don't bother me at all. I don't see any concern with them whatsoever.
Representative, I really appreciate you speaking out and having the courage to be able to take the blowback. I think our friend in the chat, Jamie Marie Pope, wants to say hello, and she's reminding us that Danny always receives blowback and he is never scared. We appreciate Jamie Marie Pope as one of the original crew here. Robbie Thurman says, I don't want to seem blackpilled, but this is probably another strongly worded letter. It seems like nothing ever really gets done, though, Representative. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, that is true. Nothing does seem to get done, and we've got to continue to put the pressure on our politicians. Like I said, I haven't been politically. This is my second term as a state representative. I'm going on to my 6th year in public office. If you had told me 10 years ago I'd be sitting here talking to you as a state representative, I would throw rocks at you. There's no way I'd want to do it. But we have got to stand up for this country. You know, back when I was going through this process, I studied, how do we change this country? How do we change it? And I read about revolutions. I read about everything you could imagine. But this country could fight a revolution, but we could come back to the very point we're at today. And we have I think, one of the best Constitution that was ever written. And all we have to do is go by our Constitution. All we have to do is follow our U.S. constitutions, our state constitutions. It's as best we get. We just have to have the men and women with the character to stand up and take those stands. It's just that simple, And this country was founded on patriots that gave their lives for freedom and liberty and the American way of life, and we just need to stand up for it. And if enough of us do, then we can take this country back.
I love that line about courage being contagious, Representative. It certainly is. There have been many times in my life when I took lonely stands for liberty, thought that I was going to essentially fall on my sword, when I realized that I was surrounded by fellow Americans who were patriotic, who said, no, we're not going to let this go. We're going to stand with Austin. And sometimes I have to tell my wife, who's not as fond of risk taking as I am, I have to say that sometimes that leap and the net will appear. If we don't do it, who will? If we don't stand, are we expecting future generations to fight our fight? I think often about the national debt and how so many people want to kick the can down the road for our children and our grandchildren. And I see that very much as saying, no, I'm going to let the wolf stay from my door, and I'm going to let my children and my grandchildren have to fight a war of whose making is my own. It's on every generation's responsibility to pay the debts that are incurred that they have in this life, is it not?
Kicking the can down the road on the national debt is maybe the most cowardly thing I've seen so-called public representatives do. They're destroying the greatest country in the world, and it's shameful what they're doing, and they should be tarred and feathered for it. And the fact that they're not is highly concerning. I mean, who could imagine? I mean, what are you doing? You're destroying this nation. I mean, you don't have the courage to stand up for your children and grandchildren. Somebody kicks the door in my house at night. It's my job as the man of my family to stand between that threat and my family. And it's just shameful that we have politicians too cowardly to stand up to national debt. I mean, we're just talking. These people are so short-sighted. It's ridiculous. They're willing to trade the future of this country for a few dollars and to get reelected, and it's really shameful.
Well, speaking of a few dollars to get elected, Representative, I was just going to say it might be a good time for you to go ahead and plug your few dollars to get elected, because speaking of that whole metaphor of standing alone and hoping that people come for if Gondor calls for aid, as J.R.R. Tolkien might have written. But Representative, you've been very courageous in speaking out. It takes a lot of guts, especially who's been in the thick of politics for 20 years. I understand that if you live in a district, if you're an elected representative and then in your district is the Speaker of the stinking House, that you as an elected politician would do far better for yourself just going along, getting along, keeping your mouth shut. So people like yourself, I think, deserve support. Where can people go if they want to decide to stand with you, Representative?
They can go to McCormick, 4la.com, and our website, and it'll lead people to our donation page. And as you very well say, I'm the biggest contributor to my campaign down here because, as you know, there's nobody. It's not people aren't financially motivated to give to me as businesses are, and the lobbyists don't like me too well in Louisiana. So I would love any donation. I make my living off $10 and $20 donations. It doesn't have to be a big donation. Just enough of those small donations keeps me in the fight, and I would appreciate anything anybody had to offer.
There we go. Representative Danny McCormick, thank you for your courage, and thanks for speaking the truth when so many others stay silent. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day, Austin. Appreciate everything you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day.